Now I will discuss on embedded data source and published data source. So before starting, I will tell you if you are not installed Tableau Desktop, so we installed in your system. I am going to I will tell you how you will publish your workbook to server. And if you don't have Tableau server, also you can go with Tableau official website. And I already published one video on that, like how will you create a Tableau server account. You can go with my that account also. And I published on the morning on the Tableau site and the Tableau projects. like, how we are defining the Tableau site and Tableau project. Let's start with the embedded data source and published data source. If you see that comparison between embedded data source and published data source, so while you publish a workbook to Tableau server, at that time by default it will take as embedded data source. It means when you will publish a workbook, along with that workbook the data source will be also published. Any change in that data source which is connected, it will reflect directly by this embedded data source once you refresh the workbook in server level. If you see the published data source, here we have to publish the data source separately with that workbook. When you are creating any development, at that time we have to publish that data source you are going to use for your work separately. After that you can connect that publish data source through Tableau Desktop inside the Tableau Desktop. Then after you can start working on that. After at that time when you publish that workbook to Tableau server, that workbook will be directly connected to that published data source. So what is the benefit of published data source is if you creating a 20 workbooks and you are publishing to Tableau server. So at that time, all the workbook will be pointing to that published data source. So if you see here, in embedded data source, each time you are publishing our workbook with that embedded data source within that multiple times. If you are publishing 20 workbook also, at that time that same data source will be published 20 times. So it is advisable to go with published data source if you are working with same data source for multiple workbook. That if one you will once you will publish that published data source, you can connect that published data source through Tableau Desktop and work on that for multiple workbook also. So at that time when you will publish, it will not take that more space in Tableau server. So in embedded data source you will take more space in Tableau server. And in published data source, what is the other advantage? The data source is independent to our workbook. If you delete our workbook also, the data source will be there. If you delete our data source also, work will be there in the Tableau server side. And second thing, as I told you, like one data source you can connect to multiple data source. That space consume inside the Tableau server is less. And the third thing is if you want to create any development or small changes in your calculations, at that time you can do easily in Tableau server for the case of published data source. So it will be beneficial if you are going with published data source. And also if our workbook is only 2 to 3, then at that time it's better to go with embedded. Or else if it is multiple workbook you are going with that same data source you are using, then it's better to go with published data source. It is that interference of Tableau server what I have taken for 14 days. So in this I will show you that different icons. I will show and tell you regarding this icons for now, but we will go later for this users group, schedule, job, task, etc. So if you see that this is our home page, you can see here this in the Tableau server, and this is the favorite. If you want to keep some workbook as a favorite, you can click there. So if you come to here, it will show in that favorite section. If you go to recent, means you are working or did some development on that. Or you did some visualization on some particular workbook recently, that will come under this. And share with me is like that any other developer or any creator they shared you some workbook particularly, then that will come under this shared section. Recommendation means same as like some senior developer is recommended to you to visualize or identify some changes, so they will that recommendation will come in this side. And personal space, that as I told you, like you have to create all this thing uh, what that need or any new workbook you want to create all this thing in this personal space you can do. And this is the collection. It will the collection of all this workbook, all this thing what you published. And explorer means in this explorer you will see that all these projects and the worksheet and dashboard, it will be within that same site on which department you are working. So this much is okay, so I will discuss these things later. So let's create a new project. I will tell you, like here you go, explorer, explore, new, then select project, and keep in mind like for each folder tableau server is by the name of tableau server we are calling each folder as a project. So I'm taking this as a sales, create. So if you see that sales project is created, now you can again I'm going to create a new, like manufacturing, let it be mfg, yeah, manufacturing. So you can create, and you can type the description also you want to see. If it is manufacturing department, so manufacturing department employees only they will go with this folder. So you can type any other descriptions as per your requirement as well to manufacturing. um, okay, and you can create this. So this these are the projects. If this, and this is the search function. If you are, if you publish a lot of work, and by that name of workbook or data source you can type here, and you can find that easily. And this is the bell icon, notification icon. If something notification is there, then it will come. So like this is the profile. Here you can profile, and my content means your content will be there, and you can sign out this, and sort by, you can sort according to name, project and workbook views also. And this is the two type of view, like grid view and list view. If you want to see in the form of list, then it will see here also you can make as a add to favorite. If you click as a add to favorite, then that will come under this icon. And after that you can select as a filter. You can filter by that workbook name, or else you can filter by that who published that workbook. So you can type your name, and you can see that a list of dashboards or overview made by you. And it the specified date. If you want to search in the form of date, like last week or something, then you can select like this. And you, you can do, you can reset also, clear all filter, and you can reset all this thing. My favorite means, as I told you, like you have to keep a star like this. So this is not for project. If for workbook also you can keep as my favorite. So now we can go with tableau server. Now we can go with publish data source. I will tell you like how you will publish a data to tableau server. Let's go to tableau desktop side. Here is the tableau desktop. If you see here, there is two data sources connected. One is sheet 1, and one is world indicator. So there are many different way you can publish a data source to tableau server from tableau desktop. You can go data source you want to connect from the database, or you want to take any flat file also, you can take here by clicking add connection. So I'm going to going this, see here it is world indicator is there. In the is our data, you can go to server and publish data. So see here you can see the data source you connected to tableau workbook is world indicator and sheet 1. So here also you can publish, and you can go to that sheet side, and you can click the right button, and here also publish to server. And third way you can publish to server is like go to server, publish server. So now I will going to publish this world indicator data source. So click this, connect to that particular data means tableau server side. So here I will paste sign in. You have to sign in by that username and password is given by your tableau admin. So 345. See, now it is connected. You can see here, I will show you once. 1 minute. So you can go to server. If you see here, it is already signed into that particular Tableau server. So you can log out as well and open a workbook. I am going to publish this world indicator data source. Connect to the data source. See, if you hear that lot of projects which is present in Tableau server set. See, just now we created for manufacturing and for sales, and sample default are the two default projects already there in that. So I am going to share this world indicator data source to sales project, and this is the name, like in what name you want to see in that data source, Tableau data source. You can see like I'm taking as a new, and description you want to add any description also you can add in this. And the permission means for particular user you can we will discuss these things later. So for particular user you want to give the permission means you can apply this. So include the external files and update the workbook to use publish data source. It the means like when you will publish this data source to Tableau, if there is a workbook is there, you want to update that workbooks which are connected to this or which are using this data source means you can, by selecting this you can update that workbook which are present in the Tableau server set. So now I'm going to publish this. Yeah, it is there, it is published. If you see here, that icon is coming with like this means it is already published to Tableau server. I will go to Tableau server and I will show you like how it is connected. See here is the Tableau server. So I'm going to refresh this one. If you come to Explorer, yeah, if you come to Explorer, you can see, go to that sales project. Here you can see that world indicate data source with the name like underscore new we published here. So like that way you can publish the data source to Tableau server. And in that action section, if you want to create any new workbook by this published data source also you can create. I will tell you after some time. If you want to edit this data source also you can edit here. You want to download this same data source, if let it be like now we can you are we published a new data source to Tableau workbook. If you are working with any organization, if somebody will tell you like download that same data source, do some modification on that database coding, or if it is flat file then change some particular column and row, and you can download that same file. So if you download once, it will download to your download folder. There you can open that and you do that same changes what the as per the your requirement. Then you can open and to Tableau desktop and connect to that same data source, and you can uh, publish that same way I told you. Go to server, publish data source, and the data source you want to publish. So now if I go here, I will tell you like see the interference is little bit different, like it is already connected to this published data source. And here server, if you want to add a new data source from the Tableau server, you can click here, connect to the Tableau server. And in the Tableau server, if you see like here three data sources already present in Tableau server in the form of published data source. You can click or select someone which data source you want to connect to Tableau, then you can click connect. Then it will connect to your Tableau desktop. Then you start working on that using that particular data source. uh, Here Here we learned like how will you publish a data source to Tableau server. Now let's go with the embedded data source. Here is our dashboard. Let I am some creating some little visualization so it will be easy for us. So here I did this visualization. Let it is a scatter plot. So I'm going to publish this workbook to Tableau server. So go to this Tableau server, publish workbook. When you will go for this publish workbook option, you will see that the same. You will see that projects are available on the Tableau server side. You can select that. I'm going to select here the sales project, and you can name this also. That name you are providing in Tableau desktop side, it is not like the same name it will be published to Tableau server. You can rename also. So I'm going to rename this as new, and you want to keep some description also. You can write here, and the tags. So by these tags, users can easily identify this workbook. So you want to say select all these sheet which are present, or you want to select only some particular sheet which are present in this workbook. So you can select this manually, or if you want to select none also, you can select none. Then go back. The permissions, these things I will tell you later. And here if you see, it is already embedded in this workbook. So by default, when you will publish any workbook, it will take the data source as an embedded data source. And you come to next option, like more options. So sheets as a tab. When you will select this sheets as a tab, I will show you after publishing. Like if you see like show sheets as a tab, when you will publish this workbook to Tableau server and you will open that workbook in Tableau server, at that time it will show you that all the sheets which are present in the workbook end up in the form of tabs. I will show you here. I'm going to publish. So I'm going to Tableau server. Here I will refresh this one, as I already published in the Tableau desktop side. I will refresh this, and if you see here, this is the one minute. This is the Explorer, and as we published that both data source as well as workbook to Tableau sales projects, you can click the sales project. Yeah, if you see here, previously we published a data source with the name of Tableau world indicator underscore name in this particular sales project, and after that we just now we published a workbook with this name to this sales project. So if I click here, I will tell you like how the tabs are showing. uh, in this see here the in this workbook, this is the workbook name, the owner who published, and at what time he published, and what time the data tableau means data is extracted. So if you see, this is the workbook, and in this workbook there are two sheets are present, sheet 1 and sheet 2. And this workbook, which data source is using this workbook, as we saw previously, like one is published data source and one is without published data source. So if you want to refresh your data source in Tableau server side, then you can go with this, select this three dot icon, then come down. You can download this data source and as well as workbook also, like this way. This is the views, select this, and from here you can edit this workbook, and you can share this workbook with the others by passing the usernames, and or else you can copy this link and you can share to that particular user. Then you can come to this. So by this you can download this workbook. So In organization also, most of time you used to download this present workbook, do some development, then you are publishing that same workbook to Tableau server. And if you want to, as I told you, if you want to refresh this workbook, then you can go with this extract now. Extract now means uh, just now that what on data is updated you want to see, then you can go with this directly extract, means it will extract suddenly. If you want to delete, then you can go with delete. So this is the refresh extract. If you want to do any extract as per the particular time period, then you can go with this. This is the full extract. If you create full extract, means all the data source which is present in the original data source, that will be refreshed fully. And if you go with the incremented data source, means that data source or the data which is appended newly to that data source, that will come to, yeah, come to this present data source. So it will take less time in the case of incremental data source, as you are adding that few rows which are newly added to that original data source. But in case of full data source refresh, it will take a lot of time, because it will take the whole the number of records which are present in that original data source, that will